what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to what life looked like 100 years ago in America. I don't know how this video has been created, if it's like, I guess cartoon like, or if it's showing real pictures of what life was like. And hopefully it's the second, the second thing I said, because I mean that would be more like, realism's better, right? It'd be more interesting, but we're gonna see. Hopefully find this interesting. I mean, this would be around just after World War One, I guess, approaching the Great Depression in the US, because it would be 1924. So I guess approaching a time of struggle within the country. But yeah, we're going to see this video and just learn about, I guess, what the US looked like a decade ago or a century ago.
The 1920s were a time of unprecedented change in America. The world's first Great War was over, and people were itching to let loose.
And look at this place, man. Oh, turned into colour as well. It's looking busy. It's looking like a European, maybe not a European city, but because I'm just looking at the trams, to be honest. Trams just, to me, equals European cities, but...
See what it looked like, in color. Of course, the decade began on a sour note for many, as the 18th Amendment went into effect on January 17th, 1920, making illegal the manufacture, sale, or transportation of intoxicating liquors anywhere in the country.
Not a good time to be alive. Throwing it away.
While this unfortunate law would remain in effect for the next 13 years, it failed to stop many from imbibing. The speakeasy was never too far away, and those who wanted to drink usually found a way to partake if they wanted. Throughout the decades, speakeasies and nightclubs became popular places for music, entertainment, and dancing. As manufacturers figured out how to produce cars more cheaply, automobiles became affordable enough for the average family to own one.
Oh. It's always so wild to see how, again, this isn't even that long ago, how different cars looked. They looked like a completely different vehicle just 100 years ago, and even probably like 80 years ago, 90 years ago. Oh, someone's been a naughty boy.
Not only did mass car
Loud as hell.
ownership make it quicker for people to get from point A to point B, but it also led to the paving of roads, the construction of bridges and tunnels, and to the sprouting of corner gas stations throughout cities and small towns alike.
There's no Buckeyes here, or Bucky's, so should I say not Buckeyes? Coca-Cola.
Of course, it took several decades for pavement to reach many rural areas, leading to scenes like this.
Jeez. Not built for this terrain. Jesus.
Fortunately, help wasn't far off when it was needed.
Good old horses coming back to the rescue.
Meanwhile,
God, look at the cars. There's no uniformed driving. It's just, I mean, left and right side, but that's about it. They look so unorganized. I mean, someone's doors open here, I think. I mean, it looks like the car's just stopped. God damn, look at this.
cities had their own problems with cars as they struggled to get a handle on the new concepts of traffic management and safety.
Oh my days. Oh God.
The 1920s was the first big decade for radio. Between 1923 and 1930, 60% of American households purchased radios, allowing families to listen to news, music, sports, and radio dramas all from the comfort of their living rooms.
Jeez. So how people like watch TV now? They'll sit home, watch the sports, watch whatever, the news. This is how you do. People would just be sitting in the living room. Instead of watching, they'll be listening to the same stuff. I mean, because I'm so used to TVs, I couldn't imagine that. But in these times, this must have been such an incredible invention. And they're probably thinking to themselves, I can't believe I can do all this sitting in my living room, have all this access to the world, you know? But that's how it is. In 50 years' time, people look at TVs now and think, God damn, who would have done that? Watching a TV with their flipping headset on whilst they're virtually in the world. To be fair, you can pretty much do that now. I'm saying in 50 years' time, you can pretty much do that now. You can virtually be somewhere. Like, I feel like now they're trying to... There's technologies that are like with VR headsets where like it will place you in a seat in a sports stadium. And it'll place you there. Like, you've got the stadium, you've got all the fans around you, you're watching the game. And you can look and all this sort of stuff, which is crazy to think. But I think that's a thing that's being done, like, current day.
Commercial air travel began to take off in the 1920s.
This is a commercial flight. God damn, this looks sketchy.
For those who dared, they could purchase a ticket for one of 20 or so seats in an unpressurized, cold, and noisy cabin and fly to their destination quickly.
Unpressurized? No, thank you. I wonder how often in these like early years of flying, commercial flights would have crashed. It must have been a lot more common. I mean, it would have been a lot more common, but I wonder how common it would have been.
Another option was to...
God damn, that's huge. Is this a real picture? This looks like it's a drawing or something.
book a slower but more comfortable trip on an airship, an alternative that would become more common in the 1930s.
Crazy.
For most travelers, however, railroads were the way to go, as the 1920s saw the rise of trains with luxurious features such as sleeping cars, fine dining, and comfortable lounges. Even subways and elevated trains for getting around locally were quite nice.
This is a subway or an elevated train. Damn. Looks a lot more cushy.
The decade saw a building boom as more Americans left the farm and moved to the city.
Oh my days, the safety is unreal. I think I remember seeing an old video, an old picture. I think it was a video of them building the Empire State Building, and it just shows the people standing on like the steel beams or whatever without any sort of safety. I mean, I say no helmets, but a helmet's not going to stop you from dying if you fall however many feet or meters or whatever from like building the Empire State Building. But no harnesses, nothing to protect you. And it's just crazy to see. I think there's like a part of it when they're just like sitting on the edge and just sort of looking down, which is cool to think that they're allowed to do that. But at the same time, god damn, the safety was not a worry at all. But look at that, one leg up, crazy. Like, how are they getting down from here? I guess there's like steps, but they're quite far down. Times Square, jeez. Downtown Houston. Times Square again. See, this is crazy to see because it's even colourful back in these times. It just looks very different. That is unreal. You got all like the tram lines. Are they really like trams? I guess they're all trams. Trams really ran the cities, didn't they?
As people flocked to metropolitan areas, the face of retail began to change.
Wilkins store. Is it a famous store or is it just a store?
Independent general store began to see increased competition from larger chains such as Woolworths and others, which expanded rapidly during this time. Massive department stores such as Macy's and Marshall Field's could be found in larger cities. Movie attendance soared in the 1920s. By the middle of the decade, 50 million people a week went to the movies.
Jeez.
Following the introduction of sound in 1927, that number more than doubled.
Crazy. No sound in movies before that. Damn, man. I'm trying to think of any films that I would have heard of from the 1920s, but I can't. That's way too far back to even recognise films. I mean, if I heard them, maybe I'd recognise it, but... I mean, I think Wizard of Oz was made in, like, the early 50s or late 40s. I think it was early 50s, the 1950s. And that film seems alienly old to me, like, in terms of it just looks like it was filmed on a toaster. Don't get me wrong, I know it's a great film, but just looking at the visuals, it looks as old as it is, but this is 30 years before that. So imagine how it would have been in these times. Theatres would have been the thing. Like, I guess theatres in terms of live performances. I still love going to the theatre now. I go rarely, but I feel like it's always quite a nice experience just going to a theatre and watching people live perform. So I guess in these times it would have been the number one thing.
And as movies grew in popularity, Hollywood stars became household names.
So these are the Hollywood stars. Colleen Moore. She popularised the bob hairstyle. Damn.
With more free time and the advent of affordable cars, the beach became a hotspot for leisure. Bathing suits became shorter, tans became fashionable, and the beach became synonymous with relaxation and fun. Everything continued to roar happily along until late in 1929 when suddenly...
Oh, we'll leave that out. Don't worry
decade of the 1930s was a totally different world. To see what happens, just click this next video.
Oh, there we go. I mean, I'm down to do these reactions, like getting closer and closer to the current day, if that's the thing that people would want to see. But what life looked like 100 years ago in America, this is just crazy to see, man. It really is. A very old woman back in the 1980s said, when asked about changes in a lifetime, the roads became so much better, meaning asphalt. Now we are used to seeing asphalt roads everywhere, but in my village, at the end of the 1950s, all streets were still dirt. Los Angeles Basin was a beautiful place 100 years ago. A veritable Garden of Eden. Then they paved paradise and put up a parking lot. Well, there we go. This is a little look back at how the US used to look, and it's just interesting to see. That Times Square one really is fascinating, man, with the trams, just how like it, you can see it looks the same, but at the same time it looks so different because now obviously you've got so many more advertising things and all this stuff. The flashy lights were still there back in the 1920s. It just obviously it's basically just the same version 100 years back. But yeah, that's this reaction. Hope you find this interesting, and until next time, like like, subscribe, and peace.